Andrew, dear. If the gentleman had wanted his coat dusted, he'd have found a better brush to do it with.
Perfectly all right, madam. Permit me to introduce myself. I am Sir Richard Truellin, writer, poet, late of London.
We're the Hanks. I'm Henrietta, and this is my mama. I'd have you meet my daddy there, but he's sort of mean when he comes out of a sleep.
Ah. Madame.
Nice. Feels like when you put your hand in a basket of puppies and they cold nose you.
How come we're slowing down?
Throw down the guns. Out. Everybody out. Come out with your hands up.
I say, what sort of procedure is this?
This is one of the things we have out west, Sir Richard, dear. Those two are robbers, and what they do is take things from people because they're too lazy to work.
Quiet, lady. Now we want the payroll. You give it to us, nobody's gonna get hurt. While we're waiting, you folks might as well hand over your jewelry and your money.
I say, every farthing I possess is on my person. I shall be positively destitute.
I'm getting all choked up, Your Majesty. Now, come on, get going.
You should learn your business before you go around stealing from folks, dear.
What's going on?
Just a hold-up, Papa. Go back to sleep.
Here's the legend about the Hanks in pistols and petticoats.
Henrietta could fire a gun with one hand milking the goat and hit a coyote on the run
In pistols and petticoats, the story goes that Grandma was best
at shooting buttons off a rustler's vest.
shooting buttons off a rustler's vest. Grandpa kept his gun in trim.
Nobody messed around with him.
Nobody messed around with him. Chasing bandits to them was fun from Frisco to Terre Haute. Every gun in the West would run from pistols and petticoats. That's the legend about the Hanks, just the way she was wrote. They kept busy protecting banks in pistols and petticoats.
Sir Richard. This is my daughter, Lucy. She came to meet us.
Somebody ought to teach that Jasper how to shake hands. I've never seen a man in a more defenseless position.
Au revoir, my dear friends, and my thanks.
Maybe we should have invited him to stay at the ranch, Henrietta. Turning him loose in a town like this is like throwing a peacock in with a mud hen.
That hat ain't gonna last 10 minutes.
I'll keep an eye on him for you, folks. After all, you know, it is my job. May I help you up?
Sure.
Well, chaps, you bungled that nicely.
It wasn't their fault, Sir Richard. You see, they had never bumped into the Hanks before.
Well, we shall see that it doesn't happen next time, shan't we?
You mean you're going to restage the hold-up again next week, Sir Richard?
Naturally. But first, I shall visit the Hanks and determine if they recognize these two ruffians. If they did, we shall employ new ruffians.
Why, you see one guy in a mask, you've seen them all.
Dear Timmons, for want of diligence, a dam may burst. Now, leave me. I would nap.
Let's go. He would nap.
That's the worst accent I ever heard. He ain't from Texas, is he?
Not lately. Bunglers.
Get touched up, Lucy. You got a caller.
I'm not interested in a caller, Mama. Harold and I have an unspoken understanding.
Well, until he does some speaking, it don't hurt to have 2 eggs warming up in the frying pan. Now, get.
Oh, Mama.
Come up on the porch and rest yourself a spell, Sir Richard, dear.
Thank you very much. Nothing more invigorating than a nice ride in the morning.
Now, ain't that sweet of you, Sir Richard?
Did you bust your saddle, Dickie boy?
No, I brought it with me. That's the way we ride in England.
Wonder to me Lady Godiva didn't slide off into the street.
Even after so brief a sojourn, I find myself enchanted with your wonderful West and its lovely citizens.
Thank you. Oh, would you care for a biscuit, Sir Richard?
Thank you, my dear.
Ask more tea, Sir Richard.
Oh, have all you want. We got it cheap.
Land sakes, we got it half price because it fell off a train into a buffalo stampede.
I wanted to write an account of our little robbery yesterday, and I find I can't remember for the life of me what those 3 bandits looked like.
3? Well, I know there was 2 of them, but I must say I can't remember them either. Oh, except the tall, thin one had hand stitching on his shirt. And where his mask stopped, there was a scar. And on his forehead, there were 3 triangular freckles near the moles.
And the one on the left, the one that had the burn on his right hand, had a twitch in his left eye. Must have been nervous, poor thing.
I sure wish we could help you describe them fellas, Sir Richard, but I guess we just ain't observant.
Oh, thank you. I suppose I shall have to make new plans. Oh, for writing the piece, that is.
Sir Richard. Sir Richard.
Oh, didn't your mamma ever teach you to knock before entering a gentleman's chambers?
Mama? Sir Richard, look, we ain't got no time for that fancy talk now. That fat-headed sheriff is getting up a posse to go out and meet the stage.
Then his timing is off. For my new employees should be robbing the stage just about now.
Who'd you get?
The Noy boys, who I am told are experts at this sort of thing.
Yeah, they're the best you can get around here.
Precisely. Call me when my money arrives. There's a good chap.
This is my plan. The stagecoach arrives at Snake Canyon about 4 o'clock, give or take 20 minutes. Now, I want us to escort it into town to stall off another stage holdup like last week.
The sheriff.
And we'll give ourselves a full hour to get out there. As you can see right now, it's 3 o'clock. And Sheriff, now, not while I'm outlining a plan, Jester. And we'll deploy it to canyon and take cover wherever we can.
But, Sheriff.
Jester, what is it?
The clock ain't working.
Oh, hurry, men! To the horse! I'm coming.
Horseman coming fast. Might be that fool sheriff. Let's go. We'll find some place to hide out. Ha! Yeah.
Horse, ain't you ever gonna learn?
Well, we'll hide out here till things cool down a bit.
Supposing the folks that live here object.
company inside, you say?
2 young fellers. They got a shifty look, but I could be wrong.
Keep pouring tea into them. I'll check their wagon.
And I think your mama and papa must have had a nice sense of rhythm to name you Bud and Boy Benoy. Here, dear, try one of these tarts.
No thanks, ma'am.
Oh, 1 tart ain't gonna hurt your figure, Sonny. Here, this'll help keep the jam from running down your boots.
Honest, we gotta go.
Me and my daughter are plumb starved for polite conversation. Sit and talk with us a spell. Have you read Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass?
No, ma'am. We ain't interested in agriculture.
Was right. They're road agents. Oh, sing to me, Goldie.
Boy, you haven't tried the lemon tart.
Well, this one's Boy. That one's Bud. Oh, dear, you dropped your napkin again. They say there's kind of a knack to it, like clamping your knees around a horse.
All right, that's enough of this tea junk. Now, you two been clowning away about some reason. Now, what is it?
Why, hospitality, Boy. Pure hospitality.
That one's Boy, dear.
Stop that cackling.
You didn't finish the oil.
Hey, what you doing under there, old man?
Oh, hi, young fella. I was just catching me a few winks under your wagon. Hope you don't mind if I use your shade.
It's all there.
Come back anytime.
Don't bother, Sir Richard.
Bungled it again, have we, chap?
I tell you, and that old man at the ranch. He must have done while those ladies were shoving tea at us.
Yeah, that's right.
The Hanks.
Who else? You think it's gonna work?
My dear old son, you do have a penchant for upsetting yourself. I personally will take Henrietta Hanks on this, picnic.
Well, that takes care of Hank, but what about the old man?
He is at the ranch, alone. You will set fire to his barn. That will keep him occupied while the robbery is in progress.
Well, what about the old lady?
I asked that consummate blister, Mrs. Teasley, to engage the elder Hanks woman in literary pursuits. Thus, the entire Hanks clan will be occupied while the exemplary Benoy chaps remove the money from the stage. No Hanks, and the gold is ours.
Well, it sounds fine.
You should check this pessimistic streak of yours, old biscuit. Dampens your sunny disposition. I say this is delightful. Which part of all this is the actual picnic?
Oh, well, I suppose there are lots of answers to that, but for most folks, it's just the food that does it.
Oh.
You all know that Charles Lamb was born in 1775, and then he worked as a clerk at the India House until he was pensioned in 1825. He had a sister who was named Mary Lamb.
And when she got married, Mary had a little lamb.
Now, men, I'm going to issue these 3 here shotguns so we can stop that holdup that's bound to happen, just like the other 2 did. Oh, afternoon, Miss Lucy. Just issuing final instructions to my posse here.
You go right ahead, Harold.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, men. Mount up. Be with you in a minute. I'm awful sorry I can't take you riding this afternoon, Miss Lucy, but I have a holdup to thwart.
I understand, Harold. Business before pleasure.
Doggone it, Miss Lucy. That schoolback, he sure taught you some fancy sayings. The reason I was issuing the shotguns there to my posse, it's because they're rotten shots. Can't hardly miss with a shotgun, you know.
Wonderful stratagem, Harold.
Well, thank you, ma'am. It's not a bad plan, neither.
Yes, Harold. You go right ahead now, and be careful.
Yes, ma'am. All right, men. Let's go. Hey, wait for me now. Come on. You gotta go thwart that holdup, you.
Harold, wait! Wait, you forgot the guns!
And, of course, after the Crimea and Balaclava, the charge of the 600 and all that,
You got to take a pill or something? You keep looking at your watch like it was sulfur and molasses time.
No. How long ago did you and your family buy that little stage of yours? Right.
Oh, 3 or 4 years. Tell me something, Sir Richard. Back to that war and all. Did you ever feel that, that the world owed you something?
Well, doesn't it, dear lady? I mean, a chap goes charging off to a rotten place like the Crimea, sees his friends getting knocked about, it alters his point of view. Yes, the world owes me something, wouldn't you say?
But you ain't gonna wait for the world to pay you. You're just going right out and take it, correct?
By George, what rustic wisdom. Yes, correct. And I suppose you've divined that at just about this moment, my chaps are stopping that stage without you and your family to interfere. Here now, you wouldn't shoot an old chum, would you?
Of course not. Just let me light that for you.
Of course, we must take into account Mr. Lamb's great tragedy. That his sister, the poor, dear, demented soul, gave the life of her... Good heavens. Really, Mrs. Hanks, might I suggest that if you do not find me interesting, you might at least try to show some modicum of respect for Mr. Lamb.
I'm honestly sorry.
I told Sir Richard when he asked that you be included in this group that...
Sir Richard told you to invite me?
He put it in the form of a very strong suggestion.
Well, I'm glad you didn't invite me, Mrs. Teasley, dear, because Mr. Lamb is not my cup of tea. And you are a frightful bore. But I'll tell you this, if anything has happened to any of my family because I wasn't there to protect them, the Wretched Ladies Civic Enterprise and Book Seminar is going to have a new subject to discuss. How to patch up the Wretched Ladies Civic Enterprise and Book Seminar.
I see him, Bowser. Go get him, Bowser.
right, Papa. Whoa. We were all kept busy for a reason. Sir Richard's men are robbing the stagecoach.
Thanks, Master. Whoever set fire to the barn is going to have some sit-down problems.
Thanks for the gold, Sheriff. Now here's a present for you. Right between the eyes.
Well, men, quiet. The situation seems to be in hand now. And I think we ought to give 3 cheers for Lucy Hanks. Hip, hip, hey! Hip, hip! Lucy?
Say, Timmons, old bird, has the stage arrived with my gold yet?
Oh, the gold. There it is.
Oh. Stout fellow! Now, just bring the gold to my... Oh, I say, what a rotten turn of events.
Oh! Meet Lucy Hanks.
All right, folks, let's go on over to the sheriff's office.
You know, chaps, as soon as ever I can, I shall return to England where there is no such thing as a Hank, only an occasional epidemic of the Black Plague.
Harold was so brave through the whole thing, Mama.
Oh, it weren't nothing any other lawman wouldn't have done in the face of adversity, and great odds, Mrs. Hanks.
Papa, I sure wish we'd got a good look at whoever set fire to that barn. I hate to see him get away scot-free.
The polecat kept his back to me the whole time. Speaking of polecats, here comes Jed Timmons.
I just had to come by and make sure you folks and the sheriff here knew I was taken in by this Sir Richard just the same as you were.
Lucy, pour the gentleman a glass of lemonade.
Them new breeches you're wearing, Mr. Timmons?
Got my old ones caught in an old chair. It just happened, Miss Lucy.
You ain't setting for your refreshments?
No, thanks. I'll stand.
We said sit.
There's your barn burner, Sheriff. That was wolf bite yelling if I ever heard it.
Arrest them. It was their wolf that bit me.
Move along, Mr. Timmons.
First time I ever heard a man hang himself with his own tongue.